Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me for this webinar today. I'm very excited to share this information with you, so much that I actually even put a jacket on today. I mean, this is COVID-19, we're all working from home, but I figured, hey, this is an important webinar, these are important people, and the least I can do is put on a jacket and show them some respect. So, really happy to be with you, really appreciate and value your time, and I'm determined to help you make sure you can pull some gems out of this. I can't promise that everything in here is going to be brand new to you. Some of it probably will be, but there are definitely some insights that you can apply, and I've learned a lot from looking at this data, and I hope that you do too. One of the things I just want to start out and share with you briefly, just a quick story about my background. For those of you who don't know, I've been a marketer for 20 years, in the financial industry for 15. And you know, in the old days when I used to market, everything was a guess. It was like, let's try this, let's see how it goes. And it took a little bit of creativity, and it took a little bit of scrappiness, and you would try something and you'd say, oh, you know, that failed. That was a bad idea. And you'd learn a little bit and you'd try again, and hopefully you would get better and better at making good marketing decisions. But we don't live in that era anymore. And if we're making all of our marketing decisions just based on our gut, it can be wrong. And actually, it can lead to some marketing mistakes that we don't actually have to make. I mean, marketing is going to require some creativity. But you also have data to look at. And the more you can align your creativity with the data, the better results you'll get. So this is really a dream for me. I mean, when I look back 20 years ago at how I marketed versus today, it's just come so far. And whether you're doing this in a small way in your practice by comparing one activity with another activity and seeing how they performed, or one landing page, or one subject line, or one email and learning, or whether you're looking at much larger data, like in this report, which is covering thousands of advisors, tens of thousands of campaigns, millions of emails over a 6-month period, and learning from that data, you can make better informed marketing decisions. And that's really what we're encouraging here, is how to get better results from your marketing by applying what we can learn from the data. And so in this presentation, this is what I'm going to cover with you. I've got 6 main points. I'm going to tell you up front, this presentation is not a word-for-word presentation of the report. You will get the report. You will see that I've added some things to the report for the purpose of this presentation, and the numbers in the report don't necessarily align with our points. So you're getting a little bit more out of this presentation than you'll get from just reading the report. So what are we going to cover in this presentation? Well, number one, I'm going to share with you the biggest performance shift that we've seen so far in 2020. There was something that really changed that maybe it shouldn't have been surprising to us, but in a way it sort of was, and I want to share that with you. Second, we'll cover the 3 key email engagement tactics that we're using right now to get much higher engagement from clients and prospects. Third, we'll talk about our favorite hack for getting better open rates on any messages that you send, which is key, right? If people don't see your message, then nothing happened. So you got to get the open rates. I'll show you our number 1 hack for that. Also, videos that get almost 1,400% more clicks. More clicks than what? What do I mean? Well, I'm going to show you. Number 5, our top performing lead gen strategy right now. You probably know we run a lot of different lead gen strategies for advisors. I'm going to show you what's working best. And finally, the number 1 most overlooked factor that I've seen in advisor marketing, which is transformative once you grasp it and commit to it. So these are the 5 things we're going to cover in this presentation today. As part of this, I'm also going to bring in an expert from our team who runs our advertising department, and he's going to share some things with you related to online advertising. So stick with us till the end, and I'm sure you'll appreciate the presentation. Last point, you'll see there's active chat. Our team is on. I won't be personally able to answer your questions, but my team will answer your questions. So if you chat in, they'll respond. They'll send you links, they'll send you resources, they'll be happy to help you in any way, getting more context to anything that you hear in this presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what is this presentation based on? Okay, this is data from the first 6 months of 2020. So during that time period, we launched almost 13,000 individual campaigns for advisors of different kinds. We looked at the data from those campaigns. We deployed over 150,000 social media posts. We're going to look at the data from those social posts. And we sent over 5 million emails, and we're going to look at the data from that. Now, there's a lot of data that's not in this report. This is a summary report. I'm just going to tell you, if you're a real data nut and you want more, we have a much larger report that goes into even deeper detail than this, which you can find at stateofdigital.report, and you can download anytime. That's stateofdigital.report. That's a different report than this. It's more robust. This report exclusively deals with key lessons from 2020. So let's start talking about those lessons. The very first lesson we learned, the biggest shift that we saw, was in the fundamental performance of two types of content. So on Snappy Kraken, we have a lot of different types of content. Let me show you what happened with that content. So first of all, evergreen content. That's general content about things like Roth conversions and 401ks and stocks versus bonds and just general educational financial content. What we saw, especially once COVID broke out, is we saw a 42% drop in the performance of what you could call evergreen or generic content. Now, there's a place for evergreen content in your content strategy. Okay, it's good because it keeps activity, and you never know when that might strike the right person at the right time, and especially if you're segmenting your lists properly and you know your demographics, who you're targeting, you can share evergreen content with them. But we saw a significant drop in the performance of evergreen content. However, the drop in the performance of evergreen content was largely offset by the performance of another type of content, and that was timely content. In fact, you can see a massive, almost 4x increase in the performance of timely content. Now, you probably know this already. This is not a big secret from this report. This is a marketing principle, but the data really reinforces it, and that is relevance is key. Relevance is key, and I'm going to show you something later in this presentation that really drives that point home. So when we think about relevance, we look at the current environment, we see that people stop caring about those generic mundane topics and they start caring about things that are relevant to the now. Now, I'll show you what performance we got from content that was timely and the type of topics that were timely in a little bit. But here's the point. If you are relying on your normal marketing strategy, the thing that you do 24/7, 365 in a regular time, if you're relying on that during a time of crisis, whatever that crisis is, it doesn't matter if it's a geopolitical crisis or if it's a pandemic crisis or if it's a natural disaster crisis in your area. When there's a crisis, everybody's mindset shifts to that crisis, addressing that crisis and how that crisis is affecting them personally. That applies to your financial services that you provide. They're wondering, okay, how is this crisis going to affect me? And when you can answer that question, you get a dramatic increase in performance. Now, when we saw campaigns that were performing drop 42% in performance, and we saw other campaigns spiking in performance, we started to look at what we could do to optimize for that. And that's really what you have to do. You have to look at ways to optimize your marketing performance. So the number one driver of traffic, if you looked at our State of Digital report, you know this. The number one driver of traffic for advisor marketing, the number one top performing channel is email. So I'm going to pull out an example from email, and I want to talk to you about how you can make this especially relevant. And that's where we get to our 3 key email engagement tactics. So let's show you some examples, and I'll also show you the outcomes from these examples. So I created a little mental rubric for you to help you remember this, and I'll summarize it shortly. Let's break it down. It follows 3 points, okay? So point number 1, humanize your email marketing. So when you look at this email, this is something we started to do. This is actually a quick screenshot from inside the Snappy Kraken email editor. So we pre-write these emails, and through the whole time of the crisis, we were writing a weekly crisis communication, and we've cut back to make those bi-weekly or as needed. But we used to just write them, and we would say, here they are, send them. But we started to get dramatically better results, several 100% increase in results by doing these 3 things. The humanization is the first point. So what I mean by that is in your emails, in your blog posts, in your messages, in your videos, doesn't matter what form of communication it is. I'm just using email as an example. Take a minute to insert you into it. Okay, this has driven up the open rates and the click rates. And I'll show you the rates again in a minute. So what do we mean by inserting you? Well, you can see here, we've started in all of our templates where it matters, where it's relevant, to create a begin customization, end customization callout. And we give people prompts, as you can see here. So what we did is we're going to start this email off by introducing something personal from the advisor. In my world, we've been doing blank, blank, blank. So some people are inserting family photos here, vacation photos, little things that they've done, or even problems they're having. Like, this is something I'm really struggling with right now. Makes them relatable. That's very important to creating a connection. And everything about marketing is about building trust, and trust comes from connection. So when you are a little vulnerable, when you expose a little bit of yourself, you create better connection. You humanize your marketing. That's number one. Don't be stiff and formal all the time. Humanize it. I mean, I'm standing in my office here. I'm shooting a video. Like you can see, I've got my Superman back there on the shelf. You know, that tells you something about me, right? I'm a comic book fan. I like Superman. Okay, so I'm human, right? Everybody has their little interests. Now, I could have went through and reorganized my shelves and put all my awards and my business books there to make myself look more professional, but that's not who I am. Like, I'm a human. So it doesn't matter what kind of marketing is. I'm waxing philosophic a bit here, but by humanizing your content, you will increase the performance. So that's number one, humanize. Number two, localize. Humanize, localize. So another thing we've done is we've started inserting little callouts where people can adapt it to their local circumstances. So look, if you're using some automated marketing platform that's just posting content, the same content for every advisor around the country all the time, there's no personalization for the locale. There's no localization to that content, which means it's not going to resonate the same way. But when you insert, how does this affect us in Denton, Texas? How does this affect us in Orlando, Florida? How does this affect us in Grand Rapids, Michigan? And you take just a few minutes and you add that little degree of personalization, localizing it, you get a much better response. Dramatically better engagement rate, higher open rates, higher click rates, higher response rates, because you localize it. And people now, they're reading it, they're saying, okay, this is a person, I can relate to this person. And oh look, wow, this also relates to me. We're in the same neighborhood. We're in the same niche community. We're in the same mindset. That goes a really long way. So localize, humanize, and finally, positive vibes. All right, so there's our little semi-rhyming rubric, okay? So this is the other thing we found. Positive messages are getting much better performance. You can see in this email, you know, we at the end, we cite a bunch of uplifting stories, positive news. There's a reason that people are being drawn to positive things because so much negative is around them. So be their lighthouse. Be their bastion for good news. Be there. Be positive. Raise them up. And when you do that, people are responding. In fact, here, you'll see what we did at the end of this email. We shared some uplifting stories. We reminded people that there's uplifting things there. And then we asked them, what good news do you have to share? Now, see what happens when you get people responding to you with good news, then you're creating a positive emotion, a positive association with you and your brand. Because now they went from who knows what mood they were in, who knows what they were concerned about, to now they're reading positive things, their mood is improving, and then they're being forced to recall positive things and respond to you. And now when you create a positive emotional connection with people, that leads to trust and loyalty and memorability of your company. So those are the three principles. What has this resulted in? Well, some of this is anecdotal. Now, I'll show you the actual data in a moment. But we're getting an unprecedented amount of positive responses from the clients of our advisors. We're seeing them respond. We're seeing them say nice things like over here, I love your words, thoughts, and questions in your message. I just got offline after 3 hours with teachers at our school. We're trying to figure out what to do, right? So there's a nice, warm response. We're seeing that here as well. We continue. I love your emails and your sense of humor and optimism and outlook for the future. These are examples from advisors, clients responding to them. There's so many. I could never show you all of them. Look at this one over here. I've had more, let's see. I sent this to my current and prospective clients, got more response than any other communication I've had with my 14 years as an independent financial advisor. Like, this is a big deal. People are looking for this personal connection. They're craving this. And so when you localize, humanize, positive vibes, you're going to create a high degree of engagement and response. And that's a big trend that we're seeing right now in the marketing that we're doing. Okay, so we've covered our first and second points. The big performance shift from evergreen to timely content, and how we can really increase, how we've seen an increase in the quality and caliber of responses based on doing these three things with our messages. But none of that matters if people don't see it. None of that matters if they don't open it. So what about getting them to actually open your messages, whether they be video messages or email messages? Well, first of all, as you look at these top performing subject lines during the crisis, there's some common trends that start to be exposed, okay? Advisors tend to, and look, I'm licensed too. I've ran marketing and advisory practices for well over a decade. Like, I get this, okay? But we tend to focus on the logical side. We tend to focus on the numbers, the data, the analytics. But what we're seeing is that the more creative and emotional and empathetic the subject lines, the better responses, the better open rates. Even things like stories. In fact, if you look at these top 6 performing email open rates, 3 of them involve stories. The first one's A Tale of Two Investors. That's number 1. Number 5 is a movie reference and a lesson from a movie. Number 6 is a story about and lessons from the 1918 Spanish flu. What does this tell us? People want to escape. You know, right now country music is trending because it's like, you know, the down home, like good old days, like it's an escape. Just, you know, sitting by the lake, having a beer, relaxing with your family, barbecue. Like, people are trying to escape the realities. So stories are performing. They're also trying to learn. What should they do right now? So lessons, several of these reference lessons, what you need to know. Those are there because they are inciting people to reach out for the education that they're already wanting. So you look at the open rates, on average, almost a 31% open rate. Very strong. You probably know the typical email open rates, even for a warm list, are 15 to 20%. So a lot of this has to do with your subject lines. Now, what is our number one hack for making subject lines? You don't have to guess at this. Okay, it starts with a little research. I almost didn't want to share this because I feel like it's like our little secret weapon, but it's not really secret, and you know, we want to help you be better marketers. So check this out. So this is a tool. It's called the Co-Schedule Headline Analyzer. And by the way, our marketing team uses this. So does our content development team. This is not the only testing we do, but it's great frontline testing. So let's just do a quick test here, okay? Let's just put a quick headline in. I was surprised by what I found in this free report. That's one I tested the other day. All right, so let's see. Analyze now. Now what it will show me. Okay, here we go. So it gave me a headline score of 73. Now, when you use this tool, you really should be shooting for a headline score above 70, okay? What it does, though, is it tells you how you can improve your headline based on things like the common or uncommon words, the emotional resonance, and the power of the words being used. Also, it will tell you the type of headline, which headlines fall into different categories. This is great education. When you look down below, it will tell you the right length. Is it too long? Is it too short? How many words are in it? Is it too wordy? And it will tell you primarily what people are going to notice in your headline. It will tell you the general sentiment of your headline. So basically, this is going to help you not only write better headlines, but become a better marketer. Now here's something else that's cool about this. I'll try a few different ones, okay? Here's another one. This report blew my mind. Okay, lower score. Let's see. Financial lessons from COVID-19 that shocked me. All right, so I'm not doing any better. I'm actually getting worse. So, by the way, I don't write all our headlines, but here's the point. Now I've tested 3 headlines. I can see which one has my best score. So what you can do is you can test different headlines, look at your different score, and then when you send your emails out or you send your messages out, use the one with the highest score. Or take a couple of them and test them with the highest score. Now what we actually do at Snappy Kraken, we take it a step further. We'll take our 3 or 4 top headlines, we'll split test them on small groups of, say 50 or 100 people. Then after we look at that data, then we'll take the true top performing headline out of the initial analysis that was done, then combine it with real testing, and that's what we'll put into the emails. So actually, if you look at Snappy Kraken's across the board average open rates for our members, it's much higher than what's out there because we do this extra work. So this is one of our favorite headline analyzer tools. I hope you like learning a little bit about it. Bottom line is this. Don't just guess about your marketing or you waste a lot of money and you lose results. Spend a little time, invest in your subject lines, or use a company that's doing this kind of work for you so that when you get a message, they're gonna queue up for you like we do. You're gonna know, hey, this is gonna work because they've done this testing. And ask your marketing company what kind of testing they're doing. A lot of them, they just hire freelancers to write content off their gut. It's not research-based. You gotta be research-based if you want top-performing marketing. All right, so let's move on. Videos that get 1,378% more clicks. It's no secret that video marketing is especially relevant right now in a time of social distancing, at a time where we can't have those same personal connections with people in person. And so we have to figure out other ways to make a connection. And video can do that more powerfully than text only. But how do you really get maximum results from your videos? And what kind of results are we seeing? What do we mean by 1,378% more clicks? Well, let's take a look at some video marketing data. So what we've started doing every 2 weeks is creating a bi-weekly, what we call personal connection video campaign. And we provide a script for that. We give the advisors education on how to record their videos. And then we, of course, track all that data. So what you can see here, the average open rate on these is slightly lower. We looked at the top 6 email subject lines. Some of those were from this, some were not. So the top 6 average was about 30%, 31%. These averaged about 28%. But remember, all these reference video. And this doesn't include the lowest performing email messages. So what this shows is that the video messages are generally trending in their open rates toward the best email subject line open rates, which really the only reason is because there's a video and people will tend to open a video message. Now, what else do we see though? And this is really the clicker here. Like, this is the thing. 37% are opening the email and then clicking through to watch the video. And we keep the video messages under 2 minutes. We have the advisor record them. We try to coach them to keep them under 2 minutes. Some get a little wordy. But the goal is under 2 minutes. Even a minute and a half is better. Short attention spans. And what we're seeing is that over 80% of the people who click through and watch the video are also staying on the page long enough to actually consume the whole video. Not a lot of drop off. That's another good sign. But why do we say 1,400% increase in clicks? Well, what you may not know is that the average click rate on an email is about 2.5%. So after people open an email, average 15% open it, average of that 2.5% click on whatever the call to action is in the email. Those are averages. So think about that. You're sending out 100 messages, only 15 people are opening them. And then of those 15 people, only 2.5% are actually clicking through. So you're not going to get much traffic on a video if you're looking at the averages. But the way we're doing these, and the way these are timely messages that are relevant, and we're crafting smart subject lines, right? What are we seeing? We're seeing that you're getting a 30% open rate and 37% clicking through to watch the video. Now that's huge. Now you think about what happens when 100 people open an email, you can be fairly confident almost 40 of them are going to watch your message. So it makes you think about, what am I putting in this message? This is really a chance to reach people. And video messages can be very powerful. Now there's a lot of talk about video out there. There's a lot of people saying, hey, you should record more videos. There's a lot of experts out there saying upload them to YouTube. We don't disagree with that. YouTube's great. It's the largest search engine. You can get a lot more traffic off your videos at YouTube. But there's also a lot of videos on YouTube. Okay, so how do you get seen? Producing content is not enough. Producing great content is not enough. You've got to drive traffic to that content. So if you make a great video and you stick it on your blog, but you're not getting a ton of organic traffic, nobody may see it. You make a great video, you put it on YouTube, but you didn't do anything to drive traffic to it, very few people may see it. So how do you get a lot of traffic to your videos so you can benefit from the clicks, from people actually watching the message? That's where you've really got to think about your videos like a campaign. It's not just a video. It's the video, but around it are all the promotional elements. Like the video is the palm of my hand, and then all the promotional elements that come out are driving traffic back into the video. So when we create a video message for an advisor and we have them record it, we send them that script and they do the process, we have them upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or Wistia, whatever hosting service they prefer. But then we create a separate email. We create separate social posts designed to drive traffic to that page where that video is. And we put a pixel on that page, an advertising pixel, like a Facebook pixel, so that we can then retarget everybody who watched that video with ads. So now they're going to get into another campaign. They're going to see more activity from you. And it's not just the video. You put the video on the page with a question, with a form that says, do you have any questions about this video? Is there anything you'd like to know? What questions do you have about your financial health? There's a little question box and there's a submit button. Now what you've done is you've taken a video that was just a video and you've turned it into a lead generation tool, because now it's on a page with a form submission option with promotional elements. And then once people submit that question, you can send them a confirmation email. You can see that here. Confirmation email goes out with a direct link to book an appointment with you. It's all woven together. You've got to think strategically about your video marketing. And what we're seeing is by doing this, you're getting a much higher engagement rate on videos and better results from videos, as we just showed you from the click-through rates. So don't just create the video. Create the video. Put it on a page. Create the promotional elements around the video to drive traffic to it, and then retarget people who've seen that video. Now this could be a whole separate webinar, and I realize that. And actually, it will be. So next month, we're going to bring in some of our friends from FICOM, and they are teaching advisors how to produce better quality videos, which is super cool, and they're doing great work. I pulled this out of one of their presentations. Hope they don't mind. You can see here, they worked with this advisor. You can see the before and after 3 weeks of helping and coaching him. So they're going to come on at no cost, even though they charge for this program. They're going to do a condensed version of it for all of our Snappy Kraken members next month. So don't miss that webinar. They're going to teach you how to go from, this side to this side. How can you get your video quality really leveled up? And we're going to spend some more time with that on you. So we're giving you the tools, and we're also going to give you the education. So let's move on. Let's talk about lead gen. I know you care about lead gen. This is a great time to be generating leads for your business. There's a lot of people out there who aren't getting served well by their advisors. They're not getting the communication. They're not feeling the love. And they have a lot of worries, and they need your advice. They need your counsel. So how can you get to them? How can you help them? Well, you probably know at Snappy Kraken we do a lot of different lead gen strategies. We've got a webinar program in beta. We've got a lot of different types of lead gen campaigns. When you look across the board at all of our campaigns, what's performing the best? Well, let's take a look. So this is the data from first half 2020 online advertising performance. Now, the results really surprised us, pleasantly surprised us. I can't believe how it's performing right now. And by the way, when we advertise on different channels, we track the different channels, we see how they're performing. Facebook is delivering the best results. Now, you may or may not know this, but on average, of all the industries and all the advertising being done on Facebook around the world, people who get to a landing page, who've converted on a Facebook ad, who've clicked on an ad, and now they're at the page, the average conversion rate from visitor to lead is 2.35%. 2.35%. Folks, we're fortunate to be in this industry right now, because take a look at the average landing page conversion rates for January, February, March, April, May, and June. Now, you know the average is 2.35. Look at this. January, 17.54. February, 13.27. March, 9.67. April, 11.35. May, 10.01. June, 13.41. Now, that is 4 to 12 times the average. People want financial advice right now. This has been great because it started out in tax season. It led into COVID. I hate COVID. We all hate COVID. But the reality is that COVID has created a lot of people with needs, financial needs, and help from an advisor. So it really does open a lot of doors in this business. We don't want to capitalize on a tragedy. We don't want to hope for a tragedy, and none of us do. So I just want to make that clear. Capitalize is probably the wrong word. But we're thinking generously here. This is what we do. People need help. So let's help them. And the best way to reach those people who need help that you don't already know, that aren't already in your network, is through online advertising. They're not going to seminars. They're not showing up at client events. But look at these rates. The top 25% rates are pushing 30%. This is incredible. I mean, from 100 visitors on a landing page, 28% of them requesting more information from the advisor. This has led to a tremendous amount of lead volume and a greatly reduced lead cost. So over on the right, in this red box, what you'll see is the topics that we've been running in the first half and how they're performing in terms of lead cost. It's no surprise risk assessment is performing best at a time where people are worried about risks. Less than $20 per lead. Now, I don't know where you can get leads for less than $20. That's incredible. And these are qualified leads because we're targeting people based on geographic location and income and with the messages that will only really appeal to that particular persona. So $20 and going all the way up to $80 for retirement income, which is the most expensive topic. But that's also obviously a more in-demand marketing topic. But you can see Social Security, hidden taxes, retirement success, 401k, retirement income. Those are our top performing campaign topics. We've got separate lead gen campaigns for all of them. So Facebook is the place to be advertising. Costs are down, lead volume is up. That's the important thing for you to know. However, just running ads on Facebook is not enough. Okay, you have to be strategic about this because an ad has to lead somewhere and it has to take a prospect down a journey that gets them into an actual business relationship with you. So just to add a little bit more color here, this is what a digital advertising campaign looks like. Okay, it's not just a one and done thing. It's not just a page and an ad. You know, you've got all the promotional elements at the bottom in the red dotted line. You can see, you know, you got to run multiple versions of your ads to see which ones are performing best, and you turn off ones that aren't working and you turn on ones that are. You got to drive people from those ads to a page with a compelling offer. You got to have certain things on that page, like a tripwire. So when people click or opt in, you know, like an exit intent pop-up if they start to leave, so that you can actually capture as many leads as possible. And then once they opt in, you got to have a nurturing series. You got to have a follow-up like we have here, at least 3 emails, systematically, built around the same theme, timed to go out at certain intervals to move those people further down your pipeline. Now, I could talk about online advertising all day, but I'm not even the expert, actually. Jeff, who I'm going to introduce you to now, he's our real advertising expert. He runs our advertising program here, and he's going to talk to you about some of the Facebook advertising metrics that you need to understand, how they relate to advisors, and give you a little more education about this topic. and actually even invite you to a workshop where you can learn more about online advertising. So Jeff, I'll turn it over to you for a few minutes.
Thank you for the intro, Robert, and thank you to everybody for taking some time today to join this webinar with us. I'm here to present 2 slides to you. The first is going to be basic ad metrics, so that when you look at results and you look at statistics, you understand what they all mean and you're properly informed about what those data points are meant to present to you. And then the second slide is going to be some information about best practices and what those metrics are meant to show you over the course of time and how you can incorporate them in your own strategies. So here we have 6 metrics that I feel are incredibly important when you're analyzing results for digital ads. The first is impressions. So impressions are how many times an ad was placed on a particular channel. So take Facebook, for example. There can be a placement in the newsfeed right in front of you. There can be a placement in the right-hand column. There can be a placement in a Facebook story, in the Messenger app. Those are all various places the ad can show. Impressions is the total tally of how many times the ad was placed in all those various locations. Reach is similar, but a little different. So reach is how many times the ad was placed in front of a unique individual. So your impressions divided by your reach would show you roughly how many times an ad showed in front of a unique individual. That number is also called frequency. Clicks, it's probably the easiest one to understand. That's how many times your ad was clicked. What clicks will help us determine is the next metric here called click-through rate, or CTR. Click-through rate is your click total divided by your impressions total. It's a way of telling how many clicks you're getting by percentage out of all the impressions that you have in a particular channel. And it's really useful to see how engaging your ad is at the top level. So is my percentage high? Is my percentage low? And I can make decisions based on that. It's usually a very low percentage. Industry average for finance is 0.58. So if you're getting 0.58%, you're doing pretty well. Results is how many of a key result am I getting from my advertisement? And if you take a channel like Facebook, they're actually going to ask you when you create your ad, what objective do you want to achieve? What is the result you want at the end of this campaign? So for example, if our objective is conversions, if we're trying to get leads on an offsite landing page, when the ad is done, then our result is going to be leads, and we're going to determine our success by how many results we got. And that brings us to conversion rate. So conversion rate is your result divided by your clicks. So if we're talking about leads, it is leads divided by clicks. And that tells us out of all of the people that clicked on the ad and went to my landing page, by percentage, how many of those folks actually completed the action that I wanted? How many of them converted, right? Thus conversion rate. Now, understanding the metrics is really just the first step. Understanding how the metrics factor into strategy and assessing success is the second step. So I have 5 things here I want to cover. The first is placement strategy. Placements, they're important to pay attention to as you run an advertisement. So if you run on Facebook, at the end of your campaign, you can see which placements yielded the most results for you and the most traffic. And it's important to understand how different placements can yield certain results. So for example, the right-hand column placement on Facebook, you might get a lot of impressions because as I scroll down, that's going to go by me on the page, but I might get fewer clicks because it's not right in the middle of the screen in front of me, right? It's over to the side. It's also important to understand how objectives affect results. So if you're running an ad where your objective is traffic or clicks, you're going to get a lot of clicks, and that is going to be the primary metric to look at. If you're running an ad for conversions on an offsite landing page, you're going to look at those conversion totals, and that's going to be the key result and your determinant of success and deciding, did I get what I wanted out of this ad campaign? The third best practice here is using CTR as a determinant of ad engagement over time. So remember, CTR is click-through rate. That is my total amount of clicks divided by my impressions. It is telling me at the very top level, when the ad is placed on a channel, by percentage, how am I doing? How engaging is my ad? I mentioned before, the industry average for finance is 0.58%. So that's a good benchmark to use, to determine whether your ad is engaging at the top level and getting a good amount of clicks. If you see that CTR dip over time, that's a sign of something called ad fatigue. So that means your ad might have been really engaging, getting a very high percentage of clicks at the beginning of the campaign, but maybe by week 4, week 5, your audience is just getting tired of seeing that particular topic, and now it's time to change the approach. Conversion rate is another metric that is really important to look at. So conversion rate, remember, is the percentage of folks that convert on your landing page, right? So if we're looking to get leads, it's out of all the people that made it to that landing page, what percentage actually became a lead. And it's important to look at that because it is showing you how compelling your offer is. So if your conversion rate is not high, right, then it is telling you that your offer isn't strong enough, and you might consider either changing the offer or changing the topic, because even though you're getting people to the landing page, you're not getting them to complete the action you wanted. And lastly, frequency. I want to review that. I mentioned in the previous slide, impressions divided by reach tells you on average how many times the ad is shown in front of a unique individual. It's important to keep frequency low. We don't want to show our ad too many times in front of the same person. And what I mean by ad is a unique set of copy and images. The topic can remain the same, but if the same image and the same caption is showing up in front of the same person more than about 2.5 times, it's likely that it's getting fatigued. And it's important just to kind of change up that image, change up that copy, and keep the topic fresh. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. I hope that this is useful to you when looking at metrics and understanding the big picture overall when looking at various digital ad channels. If you want to learn more, Snappy Kraken actually holds a weekly advertising workshop every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We are going to provide a registration link and a follow-up email after this webinar. I encourage you to sign up. We'll cover the 2 slides that you saw here today, as well as a handful of other slides, and help you learn a little bit more about digital advertising and optimize your own strategies if this is something that you're doing on your own. So thanks again for your time today. I'm going to pass this back over to Robert.
Hey, Jeff, thank you so much. That was really insightful. Really appreciate that. And really, I encourage everybody here, if you'd like to learn more about this, please do attend Jeff's advertising workshop, and we'll send a follow-up email with a link for you to be able to join that. So, all right, we've talked about these 5 first points. Let's get down to our very last point for today. The number 1 most overlooked factor in marketing. Now, before I show you this factor and I show you the data behind it, I want to mention that I think the reason this happens is because it's really a lot of work to do it right. You know, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And there's a lot of marketing experts out there, who will tell you what to do, but they really don't help you execute. They'll give you free advice all day long. Some of them will even give you the tools, like here's the advice and here's the tools. Okay, go do it. Well, technically, if you follow all their advice and you use all the tools and you have all the time and money in the world, you can probably get results. But to actually do this, what I'm about to show you, it would take you away from your business. I mean, how can you be an advisor and also be a professional marketer? Like, which is it? Do you have a whole marketing team? Great. If it's just you and an assistant, like, you're not going to be able to get that done. And so this particular point is often overlooked. And I think it's overlooked because people just know it's too much work. Now, at Snappy Kraken, we've set out to make it easier for you. But let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, this is our last insight. If you look at these 3 months, and I'm going to show you April, May, and June in a second, what you will see, remember I shared there was a drop in the performance of evergreen topics and there was an increase in the performance of timely topics. Well, this starts to get into that a little bit more, because what you'll see is our number 1 through 10 top performing campaigns in January, February, and March. The ones with the little caution sign, the little exclamation point, are campaigns specifically related to market volatility. So you see what's happening here is as the market changes, the topics that are performing change. Right, why does this matter? If you think that you can just have one campaign for your business and run it all the time, and that's going to be your lead gen strategy, you're going to have one seminar and you're going to do it all the time, or one webinar and do it all the time, and that's going to be your lead gen strategy, it's going to fail you. You're going to have times where it peaks and times where it drops. And the better job you do with it, the overall your averages will improve, but you're never going to get maximum results. To get maximum results, this is the number one and most overlooked thing in marketing. You've got to change your marketing on a monthly basis, even a weekly basis. You've got to look at what's trending, what's happening right now, what's going on in the news right now, what do people care about right now? And you've got to run campaigns about right now that have a high degree of relevance. You know what happened in March with COVID and the markets? I don't have to tell you. I don't need to give you the market data. You already have it deeply ingrained, right? So, with this record bear market drop, fastest drop, what happened? People started getting worried. Look at the 2 top performing campaigns. Volatile markets survive bear markets. They shot to the top of the list. Now, what happens in the next month? Next 3 months? April, May, and June. What do we see? The trend continues. Look at April. The majority of the top 10 performing campaigns, volatility, bear markets, recessions, risk, investing extremes. Now, some of these weren't even on the list in January, February, and now they shoot up and they're on the list. The trend continues in May, it continues in June. You see a lot more yellow triangles, right? Because we're still in a period of uncertainty. Now, as you think about your own marketing strategy and whatever platform you're using, okay, you've got to think about, is there a sufficient amount of well-timed, comprehensive end-to-end funnels that I can pull off the shelf and launch anytime I need to? So the market changes, boom, I can go launch a campaign in minutes. Now, if you have to build it from scratch, you're always going to be behind because you're going to be dealing with the whole production cycle. And what else might you be busy with at the time? So you got to make sure that you can look at the current environment and go and get content out. Either you're using a platform that provides it or you're building it yourself. And you also want to think about building these things up so you can take them off the shelf, put them back on the shelf, take them off the shelf, put them back on the shelf. So, for example, we have a tax strategies, tax saving, hidden tax tips campaign that we pull off the shelf during the summer months. We put it back out in tax season. Pull it off. We put it back out. We just revamp it, tweak it a little bit. And if you look at your business, whether it's key events in your clients' lives or key events in the markets, and you're thinking about running the right campaigns at the right time, what you do is you take your marketing from going like this in performance to going like this at a high level. You run the same thing all the time. You're down here. There's ups and downs. You run timely things. You change it every month. You'll stay on a higher plane. So look, I know we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's just recap, okay, just for memory. We talked about the big performance shift from evergreen content dropping to timely content increasing. Make sure you're running timely campaigns month in and month out. We talked about 3 key email engagement tactics. Remember our rubric? Localize, humanize, positive vibes. We talked about our favorite hack for email open rates. Test. Use this co-schedule email subject line tester. Videos. Don't just upload your videos. Create a whole campaign around your videos to promote them. And remember that videos and messages are getting a higher click rate, 1,400% more than regular calls to action. The average, 2.5% versus over 30%. I think almost 40%, 37%. So big difference in video messages. We shared our top performing lead gen strategy, Facebook advertising. If you're not doing it, take a look at it. And finally, we talked about the need to change and adjust your marketing strategies every month for maximum results. Let's summarize all this. When I got in the business, 16, 17 years ago, I started reading Bill Good. He was kind of the marketing guy back in the day. And there was something that he said. He calls it the law of hand-holding. I really believe in that still. I mean, it's a good principle, and so I'll give Bill a little credit. But basically, he says this: when crisis breaks out, clients and prospects have to be told what to do and think immediately. Otherwise, they'll become someone else's client. So marketing is not just about lead gen. You got to do this for your clients to keep them, and you do it outside to get other people's clients who aren't taking care of them. And if you're out there running this kind of marketing, you're going to see both. You're going to see a high degree of client loyalty, a high degree of client engagement, and an influx of new business. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed today's presentation. I've certainly enjoyed being with you today. We do webinars like this every single month. We'll continue to invite you to them. I hope you continue to get value out of them. Give us your feedback. If there's something we didn't cover that you think we should have, or something we covered that you don't think we should have, well, we'd love to hear from you so we can make these better all the time. If you'd like to learn more about Snappy Kraken, if you're not already a client, by all means, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about how we can support you. And frankly, to all of our members who are on this, I want to say to you, if you're not utilizing the things that we talked about today, and you're not getting the full benefit of Snappy Kraken, it's even more important that we talk to you. So please reach out to us so we can make sure we're serving you fully. We appreciate all of you. Thank you, advisors, for the good work that you're doing to help people, to help them stay financially secure, to help them avoid bad, emotional, knee-jerk decisions right now. We appreciate the work you're doing, and we appreciate the privilege to serve all of you. Have a great rest of the day and a great week.